YouTube, what's up? All right. Welcome, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm Jonathan White. I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so you can manifest your ideal life. And today we're going to be talking about sexual mastery. So, obviously, this is something I've become quite passionate about in that, our sexual energy and our sexuality it's one of our core experiences as humans. Our sexual energy is our core creative energy. It's what gives us the ability to create, to reproduce ourselves, to connect. And working with this energy is really what gives us the power to create the life that we want, right? But the problem for most of us, the problem for men especially, is that our experience and our expression of sexuality has been very distorted from a young age. And we have a lot of discomfort around sexuality. We have a lot of discomfort and trauma and blockages around this aspect of our being. Most men are actually entirely missing out on their sexual experiences. I started to realize as I developed my training in sexual kung fu that when I was having sex earlier in my life, I wasn't even really present with what was happening. I wasn't even really enjoying it because I was so single pointedly focused on trying to reach that point of ejaculatory orgasm. And I was missing everything that was happening before then. And so developing this obsession around this very fleeting experience. And for a man, the ejaculatory orgasm is actually a very limited experience. It's very short-lived. It's an explosion outward of your energy, and you feel exhausted after. You have to recover, right? And in my teenage years, I became so addicted to this experience because it felt so good, and it became a way for me to release tension, to release stress, to release sexual tension in my body. And most people get in this pattern. And what we start to do is develop this addictive pathway of releasing, using literally exploding the life force out of our body to relieve ourselves in some way, right? And this becomes literally a habit of depletion. Every day you're depleting your energy. And this starts to create all kinds of imbalanced relationship to sex and sexuality. Sex doesn't become about connecting with a person. It becomes, how can I take this pleasure from this person and just kind of use their body to release my tension into? And so it creates this deep frustration, this deep dissatisfaction without sex. And I remember realizing or thinking, why is it that I can never really feel satisfied from sex? It's like after I would have an ejaculatory orgasm, I felt very let down. It was like, oh, I feel like I want to do that again, but I can't because I was missing out on everything that was happening, right? All the potential that's happening. So sex becomes this fleeting experience that leads to dissatisfaction. And over time, it leads to resentment, maybe to your partner, because you're like, I feel like they're taking my energy. I'm losing attraction to them. I need someone new. So it just leads you on this downward spiral of never really finding fulfillment through sex. Again, it just becomes this addictive cycle for men of that black hole of depleting your energy. So with sexual kung fu training, it's all about changing the dynamic of how you experience sex, how you experience orgasm, how the sexual energy moves in your body. It becomes no longer about this impulsive, addictive need to scratch an itch to get a quick fix in something. It becomes about generating something. It becomes about generating energy. And the biggest shift for me was realizing that ejaculatory orgasm was actually not something that was really that enjoyable. Once I started practicing sexual kung fu and experiencing these states of full body orgasm, these states of non-ejaculatory orgasm, which are highly energetic, very pleasurable, very expansive, it opened me up to a whole new world of experience. And experiencing that valley orgasm state, as it's commonly known, which is just this hovering in this state of just orgasm, right? Just this pulsation through your body. It no longer becomes about something shooting outside of your body. It becomes this experience of this inner resonance, the arousal building and starting to connect with the other energy centers, connecting with the energy of your heart, love, self-love, love for your partner. And you get into this powerful state of bliss. It's very blissful, obviously, right? And you don't want to lose that charge that you're building through that. This is the thing, when for a man, when sex is all about lust, when it's all about just this animalistic kind of visual stimulation, this idea of body parts together, it can only really result in an ejaculatory orgasm to feel satisfied because it's all the lower centers, it's lower energy centers. You don't have the rest of your body opened up. Your heart's not open to feel love. Your crown's not open to feel, connection with your source. And it becomes this very low experience that you're never really satisfied through. So the shift in this is to make sex a more holistic, a more multidimensional experience involving your entire being, right? Opening up your heart to love, opening up your crown to universal connection. And it creates this new pathway and it makes the sexual energy so much lighter that you want to hold it in your body. You don't feel uncomfortable with the feeling of arousal anymore. Most men are uncomfortable feeling aroused. They have to do something about it. They have to release it from their body. But when you open up this upward flow of energy, you can bring that sexual energy upwards. You can hold on to that charge and ground it in your body. Hold on to it so you don't lose it at the end of sex. You can exchange it with your partner to heal your partner, to heal yourself. And then you go out into the world after this type of sexual experience and you have all this energy to create with, to do your work with, to play with, whatever it is that you do, right? You have this powerful charge of energy. And so this is the new paradigm. This becomes a new paradigm where sexuality is a very integrated part of your being. It's something that heals you, it's something that gives you energy, it's something that drives you in your life and connects you to your loved ones. It no longer becomes this addictive, guilty, shameful thing that you do secretly, right? And so it's dramatically life changing to step into this experience of a more conscious experience of sex. For me, it was incredibly life changing because, again, I was very addicted to ejaculating every day. And it wasn't really bringing me any fulfillment, any actual fulfillment. It was just it becomes just this unconscious pattern. It's like 7 o'clock, I'm going to rub one off, and constantly living in that state of depletion. It makes you seek other addictive outlets. It puts you on this downward spiral because you're empty from within. So you try to fill yourself desperately with these, quick fixes outside of yourself, but it only puts you further and further down on the spiral, right? And when you get your sexual energy under control, when you get this thing into balance, you learn to fill yourself up from within, cultivating that sexual energy, cultivating your chi through daily practice. It charges you up. It makes you feel fulfilled. You start to feel like, wow, I have this peace and this clarity and this feeling of self-love from within, and it radiates outward. You start to overflow with that, and it dramatically changes you. And so for men, this takes training, obviously, because our sexual habits become very, very ingrained. They become completely unconscious. When you've been doing something every day in a certain way for years, it just becomes a habit. You don't think twice about it. It becomes automatic. You build those neural pathways in your brain, and so it requires training to do this. This is real, the path of self mastery, and this is what sexual kung fu is all about. Kung fu is skill, discipline, daily training. It's not easy. This is not an easy path to take, but uh, it is the path of highest mastery. And to change your sexual habits is to completely change your vibration, to change the path that you're on, your trajectory in life. Again, it's going from depletion to abundance. And this requires mind and body training because your nervous system, when you're stressed out, when you're constantly in fight or flight mode, it's hard for you to think clearly. It's hard for you to have any space in your body to hold, a higher level of energy, of arousal. Most people are functioning right now in the fight or flight state. And so for men, they think of an arousing thought, they see a sexual image, and they can't hold that in their body. There's no space. They're too tense already. So they have to release that. They have to go masturbate and release that. And so when you start to open up your system, this is the big thing here. Sexual kung fu is all about foundations, foundational work to slowly, over time, improve the amount of life force you can handle in your vessel, right? Because if you start to bring in too much energy too quickly, you short circuit. So working with breath work, working with qigong, working with meditation, learning to balance your mind is the most important thing, because our thoughts tend to drive us, in all these different places. When you're looping all these thoughts of worry, thoughts of lack, thoughts of, oh, what's going to happen tomorrow? Um, you're up in your head. Your energy is just leaking out of your head. You're disconnected from your body. You're in that stress, adrenal firing, fight or flight state, and you're not really in a space hold, to hold abundance, to hold high levels of energy, to hold clarity. So the most important thing is that you start to learn to balance your mind, calm your mind, and doing body centric, practices is very helpful for this. That's why I stress, qigong practices. Qigong is an amazing, amazing system of internal energy work where you learn to use simple movements and certain internal engagements to open up the energy channels of the body, to circulate your chi, your life force through these energy channels. And that, first of all, it starts to change the patterns that you have, because our mental patterns, our emotional patterns, and our energy system are very much intertwined. So when you start to open up the channels, when you start to circulate your chi, you start to get all these blockages that you have, you start to wear them down, and things break loose, it starts to flow. All of a sudden, you're not stuck in old beliefs, old fears, old anxieties. You are clearing your vessel again. And so this gives you the ability, as you start to do sexual kung fu practice, as you start doing qigong, as you start doing breath work, you start doing meditation, you're going to find that your mind becomes a lot more clear. You become a lot more grounded. And this sets the stage for being able to change your sexual habits, because it's difficult to just go straight into, arouse sexual work and expect something to change, because in the heat of the moment, you go back to your habits. But by, first of all, creating a new pathway in which your energy flows, opening up some space in the body so that your energy starts to flow in a harmonious way, like it did, before you took on all these traumas and conditioning and rigidities, of adulthood, it becomes much easier to change your sexual habits. So basically, you do the foundations, you open up the channels, you're able to move your sexual energy in a different way. So for men, it's about reconnecting the genitals to the rest of the body. That's a natural connection to have internally, but through porn conditioning, through, the conditioning of society, we cut off our genitals from our body. So we only experience this outward flow of our sexual energy. And the benefits of this are that you gain so much more energy. You're not leaking your energy through excessive thinking, through, poor sexual habits, through addictive outlets. You have so much more energy, so much more vitality. Your sexual health improves, because for men, one of the biggest drains of their vitality is excessive ejaculation. So when you learn to have non-ejaculatory orgasms, when you learn to cultivate your sexual energy and hold it in your body, store that charge in your body instead of just wasting it, you have so much more energy to work with. This enhances your creativity. It boosts your hormone levels, your testosterone increases, you have more ambition, more drive, more confidence to be who you truly are and to fulfill the mission that you're here to fulfill. This is what we really need right now, is for people to, stop just following the kind of mass consciousness, and to remember who we truly are. Remember that we all have our unique abilities, we all have our unique gifts, and we're here to create in this world from our hearts, to create, from inspiration, and to stop just spreading fear and anxiety about the future. So this is the path of sexual mastery, is sexual kung fu. And the biggest change that happens is a whole new experience of sex, of orgasm, of sexuality. And sex becomes something that is deeply nourishing, deeply fulfilling. If you have this for me, once I started having sex that wasn't based around me ejaculating, it was incredibly just nourishing. It was incredibly intimate with my partner and I. And just for days afterwards, I just felt in this glow of amazing, just orgasmic energy versus feeling depleted. And then you're like, I need to do this again as soon as I can, and just this downward cycle. So it's very life changing. And if you guys are interested in really going deep into this training, if you're new to this, if you want to learn the foundations and what you actually need to do to recirculate your sexual energy, to open up this pathway internally, to have non-ejaculatory orgasms and overcome these, old sexual habits, I have a free training tomorrow, Male Sexual Mastery Secrets. So there's still some spaces to sign up for. It's completely free. It's live tomorrow. So check out on my YouTube channel, on this video in the description and in the chat, there's a link to sign up. On Instagram, there's a link in my bio. Sign up for that. It's going live tomorrow. And I'm going to be covering how to overcome premature ejaculation. You're going to learn exercises. It's going to be, we're going to be doing practices together. You're going to learn how to breathe during sex to overcome premature ejaculation and last as long as you want. You're going to learn how you can have orgasms without ejaculating, how to circulate this sexual energy through your body to channel it into creating more abundance, enhancing your creativity, your health, your focus, your mental clarity. So we're going to be covering all these things tomorrow. So again, check that out. Sign up through the link. Instagram, it's in my bio. YouTube, it's here in the video description. And with that, I'm going to get into the Q&A section here. So feel free to type in any questions you may have. Thanks everyone for joining. Always good to see you guys. Okay, Sepe, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, says, I was wondering, I always go downstairs. I live in an apartment to do my Zhanzhuang exercises. Do you need to be on the ground, or does it still work when you are higher up, like an apartment building? Okay, so this is a Qigong practice. It doesn't really matter. I've done this practice, on 10, 20 stories up, and I can still connect with the earth energy. I can still get grounded. It's usually, it's best to be on the earth when you can, but if you can't, don't worry about it. Where you can do this practice anywhere and connect with the earth chi, because it doesn't just exist on the physical ground. The earth chi extends far beyond the physical, ground itself. So you can connect from it in an airplane, really. Dodat Marzo says, what's the propane? I guess this is meant proper. What's the proper way to breathe while having sex? Join my free class tomorrow, and we're going to cover this directly. Bengal Vision says, tips for beginners working on moving sexual energy out of pelvic area and up into spine. Again, join me tomorrow for the free training, because this is exactly what we're going to be covering. But basically, it's about simply improving your feeling awareness. It's not a visualization. You're not like, okay, I see from my head, my body out here, and I'm like visualizing the energy moving. It's a feeling sense. You're bringing your mind into your body and sweeping your mind. And that's, one of the keys to moving energy, circulating energy in your body is really absorbing the mind into the body, because the mind guides the chi. The mind guides the energy. So the more that the more you can bring your mind into your body to really feel it with your mind, the more you'll be able to engage and work with your internal energy. And it just takes practice. John Mao, what's up, brother? B says, good to see you, bro. What is Dao Yin, and do you practice it? Dao Yin is basically Taoist yoga. It's a term that's included Qigong as well in the past. Qigong is actually a really relatively new term. It's only been around for like 100 years, whereas Qigong exercise, the practices we call Qigong have been around for thousands of years. And Dao Yin is another kind of area of Taoist practice. And again, sometimes this actually means Qigong practice, but usually Dao Yin is more yogic types of exercises. So it's more like kind of stretching, expanding the tissues, helping to open up the energy channels, and just kind of getting the body into alignment. So Dao Yin practices are great. I practice some Dao Yin exercises. It's quite similar to yoga, to Indian yoga, but there can be some differences. But yeah, Dao Yin's great. It's another great system practice. Okay, Megan says, "Are you teaching SMTH regards tantra for man orgasms, or is this different than tantra?" Okay, I'm not entirely sure if I understand the question, but basically, is what I'm teaching tantra. It could certainly be considered tantra. I mean, tantra originally was a system, basically a internal cultivation system, from Tibet and India, and a part of the system was sexual practices. And kind of the modern times, we associate tantra as meaning sex, yeah, meaning kind of like a spiritual sex or something like that. Um, but originally, tantra was simply, it's like saying yoga. It's like saying, tai chi or something. It's a whole system of cultivation. So there's aspects of tantra in what I teach, but what I teach is leans a lot more towards the Taoist sexology, the Taoist sexual system, I would say. Jima Exxon Design says, "I have a spontaneous Kundalini awakening about a year ago. Since then, my pelvic floor is always so tight. It's like squeezing something. Maybe the energy, actually, it's very frustrating. Is it normal?" So, this is likely connected to excessive activity in basically the Dumai, the back channel, the back of your body. Uh, Also, probably the sympathetic nervous system is very active and kind of stuck. So, that can cause a lot of pelvic tension. So what I recommend is really working with grounding practices, opening up the front channel, the renmai, descending energy current, working with the earth chi, not doing any like really fiery, energy ascending practices, working more on like grounding, body centric exercises. Qigong is great. Zhuang specifically is really great for opening that ascending energy current and just practicing relaxation, doing pelvic floor stretches, things like that. Check out my uh, uh, pelvic floor rehab video. I share some really great exercises for opening up the pelvic floor. But yeah, this is just really a tension response, probably overactive nervous system and things like that. Too much yang qi, maybe, right? Okay, so yeah, Meg's question was, do I teach tantra as energy Vedic science? Yeah, so not I don't really teach a specific no, so no, specifically not really tantra as a system as a whole. And again, I incorporate parts of it, I incorporate aspects of it, but for me, I studied in both, and for me personally, I like the Taoist system better. It's just a bit more practical and body centric. But there's a lot of people teaching tantra too. It's great as well. Ooh, ooh, ooh says, just want to say thanks for all the info you put out, brother. Yeah, my pleasure. Alexandre says, edging can be negative to the dopamine system. This is a question. It depends. I would say, edging can be a number of different things, right? Edging can be done a number of different ways, and I've talked about this in several videos. It can be done in a way that is, overall not really beneficial to you. But here's the thing: the thing with dopamine, talking about this, if you're on a, you're on you're on a phone right now or a computer, you're getting hits of dopamine probably similar to what you would be getting from most types of edging, unless you're edging to porn. That's going to really wreck and throw off your dopamine receptors. But the thing is, yeah, I would say it's comparable to that. So my experience with this though has been that again, when we talk about edging, what exactly do we mean here? And I'm going to share a few things on this. So again, there would be edging where you're like watching porn, you're getting really close to the edge, you're just tense and like just right on the edge of ejaculating constantly, but not ejaculating. That's probably going to, how it's going to affect your dopamine, mostly the porn, but it's going to create a lot of unresolved tension in your body. But edging in a way that it's more, we could say, the sexual kung fu method of awareness strongly in your body. You're breathing deeply. You're definitely not watching porn, not even really like using fantasy or visual imagery. You're simply feeling, and you're not actually going up like to right at the point of ejaculation. You don't really want to stay, I don't recommend being at like 99% very much, if at all, right? I like to stay around 70 to 80% during sex or solo cultivation because the arousal, it doesn't quite build up so much tension. You can tend to build up a lot of tension in the pelvic floor if you get too close to the edge too constantly, and you'll probably get blue balls and things like that. And I personally just feel like I have it's easiest for me to move the energy through my body when I'm at a lower, slightly lower state of arousal than, like, 99.9%. So if you're edging right at 99.9%, I don't know, it's difficult to say what it really does to your dopamine. I haven't really seen any actual studies on this, right? But again, it's like if you spend time on a smartphone or computer, you're wrecking your dopamine receptors as it is. So it's like, life in the this day and age, right? But again, my experience with this is that I didn't experience any, like, significant negative issues from basically having non-ejaculatory sexual experiences. And this, maybe if you're doing it like all day, every day, but everything in balance, right? Lemaine says, I do your 20-minute Qigong practice. Can I add the Zhanzhuang also? You definitely can. In fact, I highly recommend it. Zhanzhuang is really the root of all Qigong practice. If you don't incorporate Zhanzhuang into your training, your Qigong development will be limited because Qigong comes out of Zhanzhuang. It's kind of the operating system from which Qi development comes from is the standing posture. If you don't know how to hold your body right, if you can't really sync, align the spine, get everything in that state of sung, then you're not going to be able to get that much qi going. Just it is what it is, right? So I highly, highly recommend, yeah, doing the Zhanzhuang also. So I would do the Zhanzhuang first and then do your movement practice. You'll have much more qi moving through your system. Zhanzhuang it's basic grounding qigong practice that develops your energy system. It's incredibly powerful. It's my number one practice. I do it 30 to 40 minutes a day every morning without fail. Ahan says, how can we find a dharmic partner? No need to be a soulmate, but a partner who helps us to develop. Well, I mean, first of all, call it out. Put it out there into your daily manifestation practice, whatever it is you do. See yourself. Take out a piece of paper and write down the qualities you want in a partner. And also ask yourself, do you match those qualities? Do you embody, some of those things as well? Are you a match to those qualities? And then you can, like, I don't know, make, ritualistically, like, burn the paper, tear it up, whatever. Um, but and see yourself, every day you see yourself clearly, like a manifestation practice. You see yourself with the person, just feel that you've already met them, you're with them, just feel, the positivity of that, the emotion of that, how that feels, and then let go, right? But I mean, that's kind of the more yin side of things, right? But basically, probably it's like the type of person you would want to be with. You want someone who's going to help you develop. So probably not someone you're going to meet at a bar. So maybe someone in a more conscious community area of life, whatever. You would meet them in that situation. Um, I mean, just how do you meet anyone? There's a lot of tools available, but social situations, hang out with people, make friends, talk to people, and allow it to develop. I don't know if that's helpful. Hopefully. Sweet Allah says, do you consume seed oils? No, I do not. I haven't been on seed oils for a while. Jim Axon Design says, thank you so much. What do you recommend also to deal with the involuntary Kundalini awakening? Well, I think I already, mentioned a lot of things would be helpful. Grounding is number one. Descending energy, opening up the front channel. Microcosmic orbits, very helpful because it creates, often, Kundalini experience is just all this energy going up, it's going up, it's going up. And it can kind of dry up your kidneys, your grounding, your spleen, stomach energy, earth energy. So the antidote to that is again, descending energy. So opening up the front channel, relaxation, sinking the chi. Zhuang practice is amazing for this. It got me out of some kind of Kundalini psychosis I was experiencing almost 10 years ago. You can also work with like an acupuncture or something like that. Manish says, do you have any advice for muscular tension and chronic fatigue, trying to live the retention life day 5, but struggling to recover for training and stress due to work? So tension and chronic fatigue, again, this is, super overly active sympathetic nervous system stuck in fight or flight. Kidney depletion, adrenal depletion as well. So rebuilding your kidney adrenal energy is going to be one of the most important things. So, no stimulants, no caffeine, more rest, relaxation, reducing stress from your life as much as you possibly can. Spend time in nature, go for like walks out in nature every day, breathing fresh air, lay on the, if you can, like 20 minutes a day, just like lay on the ground and just relax. Like, especially, it'd be best to do it like outside under a tree or something, just relaxing. The kidneys need, rest, nourishment. Um, there's herbs that will help rebuild your kidney system. Depending where you live, you may be able to find a kidney yin formula in Chinese medicine is going to be supportive for the kidneys. You can do a little research on that. In rest, proper diet, exercise, not not super intense exercise if you're already experiencing fatigue, but qigong is really, really helpful. Meditation. Um, check out my Dantian breathing video. That'll help you kind of build some core energy, and hopefully that's helpful. As far as muscular tension, just practicing relaxation and also relaxing your mind. Uh, learning to quiet your mind, because often when we're stressed out, our adrenals are burned up. We have a lot of mental activity, too much mental activity, overthinking, over worrying. So practicing meditation, quieting your mind, learning to calm the mind down and be more in your body, I think will help to support this. I hope that's helpful. I am infinite being says, can you heal your body from an illness or injuries with this practice? It's a good question, and I can't share any, say anything as like medical advice or anything like that, but um, these practices definitely support your immune system, definitely support your body's ability to recover quickly. Um, I've had a lot of people who've gone through my program, gone through Multi-Orgasmic Man, and talk about like healing illnesses or injuries they had very, very quickly by working with the sexual energy. Like bringing the sexual energy to that area. And I've experienced personally very quickly recovering from. I mean, I haven't really had any major illnesses. I very rarely get sick, and if I do, it's extremely mild. Um, I had an injury. Well, I tore a muscle a couple years ago. I was skiing and took a bad fall. Thought I broke my shoulder. I couldn't even move my arm, but within like a week, it was just fine. Like nothing had ever happened. So I think that it definitely supports your body's healing process and definitely supports your immune system, because the biggest toll on our immune system is excess stress, um, depletion for men through excessive ejaculation, depletion through too much thinking, worrying, scattering our energy in various ways. And when you get that under control, which these practices really help you do, you're going to be healthier. You're going to have more energy. Your immune system is going to function more efficiently. Sweet Alice says, what are your thoughts of where you are now versus 5 years ago? 5 years ago was 2017. A lot has changed. Although, my practice has developed tremendously. I would say one of the biggest things is back then it was still like, as far as my practice, it was like, okay, this teacher said this thing, so it's true. And, I don't really, they say this, so it's true, right? Um, whereas now I'm become a lot more intuitive. And because my practice has developed to where I can really feel what's happening, like I feel what the practice is doing, I feel the channels that are being opened, I feel the energy what's been doing. I'm like, okay, I do this, it does this, but this teacher says that it shouldn't. So whatever, more it's kind of like I mean, there's a lot of different areas I could talk about as what's changed, but I think most relevant is in the practice, and that I've been able to kind of develop things in a way as to what works for me because um again, before it was just like I was just following instructions, like, okay, they say do this, but as my energies become very, very sensitive, as it's my Dantian's developed tremendously. I have my chi development, my chi development's tremendously developed. I really feel and can like play with different things, and so I make little adjustments in my practice. I'm like, yeah, if I do this, it feels more energized. And I really did, I started developing the sexual techniques in a different direction than what I was doing back then. Back then, I was just following kind of the typical, squeeze the perineum, bring the energy up, all that stuff. The tension based kind of forceful movement of sexual energy. And again, because at the developments of my own practice, I learned how to more effortlessly move the sexual energy just using my mind. Don't and I completely left out the like squeezing the pelvic floor because that can cause a lot of imbalances. I don't want to go on this too far, but there's definitely, I mean, in 2017, I was teaching guitar to kids. I was working at a music academy, and I was just barely making enough to pay rent, barely scraping by. I mean, I was happy to just be doing that. I didn't really care. But now I have a successful business, and I'm kind of living a life I didn't really know was possible back then, right? So a lot has changed. Basically, I'm a dramatically different person than I was back then. Daniel Daniel Magana says, "What do you think about sauna use?" It can be beneficial. It's very good for detoxing. I have an infrared sauna. I'll use. Sometimes I'll use it a lot. Sometimes it's not as much. But saunas are amazing for detoxing. Like one of the most efficient ways to detox your body is to sweat. You release toxins through sweat. So sauna is amazing for that. However, too much heat on the testicles can kill your sperm and cause some issues with that. So what I found to be the remedy for this is I bring an ice pack in and put it on my balls when I'm doing a sauna. That way my balls stay cool. The rest of my body's sweating profusely. So boom, solves the problem of that, right? Yeah, I think sauna is amazing. Just, stay hydrated, obviously. Also take, if you're going to use a sauna, something that pull because your small intestine actually detoxes when you're saunaing as well. So you want to take something that will pull that out. Charcoal's good, but charcoal can absorb other, things you might be taking. So uh, chlorella, which is an algae. You take that before you use a sauna. It'll help detox your small intestine as well. Seahorse says, "Is doing Kegels really overrated?" Yes, doing Kegels is actually a terrible idea for a lot of men because the pelvic floor is a complex group of muscles and it connects to other areas of the body. And when you're doing Kegels, you're isolating just a very small portion of the pelvic floor muscles. And what happens is you develop imbalances in the system. It's like going to the gym just to do bicep curls and not doing anything else. Like you're gonna have imbalances, right? And what typically happens for men is that they develop these hypertension patterns in their pelvic floor. Most men already have 2/10 of the pelvic floor. And doing Kegels on top of that makes the problem worse. And this results in premature ejaculation. You'll notice when you're having sex or masturbating, whatever, squeeze your pelvic floor. It makes you more sensitive and gets you closer to the point of ejaculating. Yes, you can squeeze to avoid ejaculating because it closes off the tubes, but overall, it's not supportive of the goal of ejaculation control. Once I started focusing on relaxation and reverse Kegels, it was a huge game changer for me. I was like, why have I been doing Kegels all along? It caused a lot of issues for me actually. And if you have that involuntary contraction where your penis is being stimulated and you contract in response, that causes premature ejaculation and limits your ability to have non-ejaculatory orgasms. It can also over time make your erections worse because when you have this chronic tension in your pelvic floor from just overactive nervous system or too many Kegels, that the muscles are constantly squeezing, so they're pulling blood into them and pulling blood out of your penis, so it can cause erection issues over time, which I was also starting to experience when I was transitioning out of doing Kegels. So I think if you're going to do Kegels, I would focus I would stress a lot more emphasis on reverse Kegels and pelvic floor relaxation. But I completely stopped doing Kegels, I think like half a year ago, and it was actually extremely beneficial for me. Thank you, Sarah Nicole. I appreciate that. Okay, Offense Thulair says, "How would you describe masculinity?" I mean, that's kind of a overall masculinity is, it's the yang nature. It is expansiveness. It is strength, leadership, drive, ambition. But I mean, maybe more accurate thing is like, what do I see as like masculinity? Like my ideal personal qualities that I see as masculinity, because it's kind of a vague question, but again, a man who is not afraid to be himself, not going, not like dressing to please others, making sure he looks a certain way to please others, saying things just the right way to please others, but just, boldly himself, his unique self, going on his own path, not just following what others tell him to do, but going his own way. And, basically becoming a leader in this world, um, being strong, being bold, being truthful, and also being centered in the heart. It's not about an ego trip. It's not about a like, oh, I have to, be the most tough, dominate everyone else. It's not about this like ego trip, which it often can become, right? It's about being strong, but not having to prove it. I would say, right? And you know, uh, having self control. I think that's the biggest thing is self control. Not being a needy person trying to like take things, in a relationship, not trying to like guilt trip your partner into getting things from them, things like that, right? But being bold to yourself, being strong and truthful and heart centered. Oh, that's I guess some things I would say about masculinity. I don't know. For me, it's some things. I'm actually not a great person with words. It's interesting. So some things it's hard for me to put into words, but uh, yeah. But again, self mastery I think is the biggest thing uh, for a masculine man, because when you can, self mastery is controlling your mind, controlling your thoughts, controlling your words, not just, being reactive to everything that's happening, not just getting pissed off and trying to fight. You create violence around you. Being strong and peaceful, but not docile, not afraid to, defend yourself, not afraid to protect yourself and your loved ones, not afraid to stand up for what's right in your world, not being, impulsively addicted to ejaculation every time you have sex. MTL says, have you experienced any open contact? Open contact? You talking about like aliens? No, but I've seen a lot of very interesting things in the sky. I will say that. B says, do you do the microcosmic orbit before or after qigong? Usually after. Usually I do my standing practice before my sitting practice, um, because my standing practice is really easy for me to just get like charged up pretty quickly. And after I do 30 minutes an hour qigong, I sit down, do my sitting practice. I'm already lit up, and then it's just like Neigong, moving the energy around internally. So yeah, I like to do the microcosmic orbit after qigong generally. Derek Trevino says, definitely think it can heal. I have ulcerative colitis. Since practicing your teachings, I started feeling better and have been in remission for the longest time so far and feel healthier than ever. Well, that's a great, testimonial for the power of this work again. when you get your mind and body balanced, you get your energy flow balanced, you're healthier. I mean, this is what Chinese medicine is based on: is clearing blockages, clearing deficiencies, excesses, yin yang balance, five element balance, which happens when you do these practices. So it's great to hear, Derek. Glad that you got such tangible healing from the practices. Seahorse says there should be more people like you who do this. Really get a whole better understanding of your own body, especially for men. Thank you. Yes, I mean this is what the world needs. Um, as men, we come of age, as impulsive. Uh, Sex is an addictive thing. Masturbation is an addictive thing. Driven by our animalistic impulses. So learning how to get this force under control, so that's no longer driving us to do weird things, is one of the greatest things you can do to gain mastery over every other areas of your life, because most often your sexual energy is sabotaging areas of your life when you don't realize it, right? And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing this sexual kung fu, is because I think this is the most important work that anyone can be doing. Mick Mick Knowles says, "What is it like to work in the tantric industry as a male? How did you start?" Well, it's working in the tantric industry. That's an interesting vernacular on it. I just I teach sexual practices. I teach what I've learned. I teach what I've studied from the many systems I've studied with, and I that's what I share. Um, it's great. I'm very passionate about this because I experienced so much transformation, so much healing. I mean, my life completely changed when I started doing these practices. And again, as I was just saying, I think that this work is one of the most important things anyone could do. If everyone in the world was practicing this, we would be in a very different place. That's why I do it. And I started by the first thing I did was I created a YouTube channel. I was at a in-depth retreat in 2017 when I became certified as an instructor in the Healing Tao system, and I was like, I just had this very clear vision of like, wow, like people in the world need to know this. Like, there's not a lot of people really sharing this, and this is extremely important. And I went home, and within a couple months, I created my YouTube channel, just started making videos about stuff, and it went from there. I started creating courses and things like that afterwards, but that's how it started for me. Sarah Nicole says, "Could you explain unbalance between yin ton in a couple?" I'm guessing are you saying unbalances between yin and yang in a couple? But yeah, every relationship is based on yin and yang. Generally, one partner is more yin, one partner is more yang. But there's often different ways that there's different aspects of yin yang dynamics. Like maybe in the bedroom, one partner's more yin, one's more yang. In business life, one partner, it's going to vary. But usually, well, definitely there needs to be a strong degree of polarity in a relationship. Um, or else the relationship dries up, because all attraction is based on polarity. Polarity is magnetism. Polarity is, opposites attracting, right? And so yin yang becoming unbalanced, maybe, both partners are stuck in their masculine, both partners are like trying to control each other and organize everything. So usually it works better when someone's a bit more, maybe someone's organizing everything. The other person's like, okay, or definitely in the bedroom, someone's more in charge, someone's more leading. Like, generally, I would say the man, the masculine in the bedroom is he's like, okay, baby, like you just lay back, surrender. Like I got this. I'm strong. I've got you. I'm taking charge. Like, it's okay for you to surrender, right? So it's the trust, but also the strength and the ability to create a safe space for the feminine to surrender and receive and uh, let go. If women can't surrender and let go, they usually have a difficult time having orgasm because maybe they feel unsafe because partners in the past used them, they forced themselves into their bodies, things like this, right? So, creating strong polarity. Um, Unbalanced yin and yang, maybe, again, one partner's trying to control the other partner completely, um, or has, zero, no intimacy. They're just very disconnected, very withdrawn. There's a lot of aspects. I don't know. Hopefully, some of that is clear and helpful. Daniel Magana says, "What kind of food diet do you follow?" Nothing too crazy. Not like Basically, I do. Right now, I'm doing fairly low carb, not like keto level, but I don't do a ton of like grains or I don't do any like refined carbohydrates. I don't do a ton of fruit, but I do some fruit. Lots of fats, lots of protein. I do animal product, pasture raised animal products. I get them from like a local farm that animals are raised humanely. They live better lives than most humans. Been doing a lot of organ meats recently, really good for the gene. But also in the spring, I eat a bit lighter in the spring, so I've been doing a bit of liver support because the spring is the season of the liver. It starts to wake up and often wants to detox itself. So, I'm doing lemon juice and celery juice in the morning, more greens. I've been doing a lot of dandelion root. Dandelion grows where I live, so I've been picking it, eating the leaves, making tea with the roots. Really amazing for the spleen and stomach. High protein, high fat, organic. Nothing. I'm not like keto or vegan or carnivore or anything like that. But it's important that I feel like I say this every time, every live this comes up, that everyone has a unique body type, and you want to learn to eat what is right for your body, and that's going to vary. So becoming sensitive to what is actually serving your body versus just eating from your head because you read an article why this diet is superior. You know, MTL says 5D versus 3D gaps become more and more larger. Any comments? I mean, I know these terms get thrown around a lot. I don't really use them myself, but I mean, maybe what you're referring to is like a divergence of timelines where there's a very, we're going on these different timelines splitting, right? There's like the doomsday people and the like, basically it's like people getting pulled and stuck into the lower vibration reality. We're going this way. People who are a little more positive and like, what, I'm sick of all the bullshit. Let's have fun and party, in a positive way, or going this way. Maybe that's what you're talking about. And yeah, there's definitely divergence of timelines, which is why I'm always saying focus on what you want, focus on what inspires you and excites you. Don't focus on what creates fear and anxiety for you, because you're just going to pull more of that into your life. Holding that in your field, you're going to attract it. So become what it is you want to see in your life. And I've been very much experiencing that in an amplification the past couple of years. I've noticed as I am tuned more into the mass consciousness, I feel very weird. It's like it just feels weird, right? And as I separate myself from that, which I've been getting very good at, life feels great. Everything feels amazing. The world feels great. So again, just be mindful of what you're focusing on, what you're creating from your focus. Fisher KC says Qigong is the real deal. It definitely is. Qigong is amazing. I'm doing it every day for 8 years now. B says everything you teach has changed my life so much. Thank you. Glad to hear that. What are your hobbies? My hobbies? I like to play music. I'm a musician. I used to be a full-time musician, but now it's a hobby. I like to play outside, go get out in nature and ride my bike around, go hike in the hills, pretty much anything outdoors. Um, Sexual kung fu, qigong, tai chi, internal martial arts, meditation. Those are my hobbies. I'm sure there's a lot of other things I do that I'm not really thinking about right now. I like to travel. I like to explore, just be really beautiful areas of the world. I like to study, I like to learn new things and develop my knowledge and my more importantly, my embodiment of various wisdom of the past and present. Daniel Magana says, "Do you drink alcohol?" No, I do not drink alcohol. I haven't touched alcohol in it's been a while. It's been like 7 or 8 years now. Alcohol does absolutely nothing good for me. It is a vile poison, in my opinion, and I will probably never ever have it again. Okay, Stephen PDX says, "What day of the week are weekly lessons for the Multi-Orgasmic Man course released?" It is based on when you join the course, right? It's a drip feed. So each when you join the course, every week a new module unlocks. So it depends on when you join. Everything's pre-recorded. There's the live calls with me as well, but overall the course is pre-recorded. You join, and everything unlocks for you 1 week at a time. So you're through the course. There's a lot in there. MTL says, "Serious med bed. Any comments?" I'm not entirely sure what that is. I know I've heard a lot about the supposed med beds. I'm sure the technology is there, but are we going to see it? I don't know. I know there's a lot of this kind of um, these promises of things that are coming. That are they really coming, or do we have to create them ourselves? Right. So I don't really know what to say about this. Maybe we'll have med beds. Maybe we won't. It'd be nice, but you don't need a med bed if you know how to balance your energy, cultivate your chi, and you know use your internal technology, which your body really is. Unlocking that to the deepest level is really my focus. Manuel Keto says, "Would you recommend unblocking body chakra or let it unblock on its own time?" I mean, I'm a very hands-on, make things happen type of person. So if I have a blockage in my system, I want to resolve it as quickly as possible. And this is really, it's like, is it really going to resolve on its own? Not if you keep doing the same things you've been doing. Not if you keep, repeating the things you've been doing. If you don't deal with it, it's probably not going to go away, right? So that's why I love qigong specifically. Is it's a very tangible, hands-on practice where you're working with your own energy and you're eroding blockages over time slowly. It's usually not something that happens like the first time you do the practice or whatever, but this whole thing with qigong is the water system. It slowly wears down these blockages over time, kind of a more balanced way, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, I've dramatically transformed. But yeah, this is the path of internal alchemy. Is you're speeding up your own evolution. You're speeding up the changes that occur in your mind and your body, which would may otherwise take 20 years of living life. You could do it in a year or two of internal alchemy, right? So I'm all about getting your system into equilibrium as quickly and efficiently as possible. Daniel Magana says, "When did you first experience premature ejaculation?" When I was about 19, 18 years old, one of my first sexual relationships. Um, I mean, I just didn't last super long. I probably could have lasted longer. It just wasn't really like a thought. It was just like, okay, I feel like I'm going to ejaculate, therefore I will, right? Does that qualify as premature ejaculation? I mean, I would say it kind of does because you're just allowing it to happen so quickly. But there's definitely times where I would just ejaculate right away. And I noticed if I was drinking alcohol, it would happen. Like I remember one day I came home from work, I like drank a beer, then my girlfriend came over and like I ejaculated like immediately. And it was very embarrassing. I was like, okay, well, clearly drinking a beer before sex isn't a good idea. And like I said before, I haven't touched alcohol in 7 years because I think it's awful. So, yeah. And then, It was that I was in the pattern of just not really it didn't I didn't understand why. No, I wouldn't say I wouldn't understand, but I just didn't have really, like, it wasn't a thought in my mind to be like, "I need to last as long as I can." I just kind of, like, when I felt like I was gonna ejaculate, I just went for it because it just felt like, "Oh, yeah, I wanna ejaculate now." And kinda what I was talking about at the beginning of this video. Oh, about to lose my Instagram feed. I'll pull it back up. At the beginning of this video, just that, as men, we often become so focused on ejaculating during sex that we just go for it as soon as we can, right? And that creates this pattern of premature ejaculation. And so I noticed after a while that it was actually, yeah, it was difficult for me to last longer because I was so ingrained in this pattern of quickly ejaculating. Give me one second, guys. All right. My name on Instagram is Sexual Kung Fu. Just look up Sexual Kung Fu. You'll find me. It's like sexual dot kung fu, one word together there. Again, guys, I'm teaching my free class tomorrow, Male Sexual Mastery Secrets. Going to be going over how to orgasm without ejaculating, how to overcome premature ejaculation, how to channel your sexual energy through your body and into your life to create abundance, to enhance your health, your energy levels, your focus, your clarity. Sign up through the link in the description. It's going to be really awesome. I'm excited for it. I've heard from a lot of people who've taken it in the past. It was life changing. So I'll be dropping a lot of information, a lot of practice on it. So make sure you join. Well, I think we got through all the questions. That's great. It doesn't always happen. Thanks everyone for joining. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. And again, join me tomorrow, same time as I went live today. 3 p.m. Pacific is my free training tomorrow, and I will see you guys there. Take care.